Everyone said it, this keyboard is basically cheating. Wooting 60HE has features which most other mechanical keyboards do not. But what makes it so good? Well, in today's video, we're going to find out. Full disclosure, Wooting sent this out as a sample. They didn't pay me to say anything in this video, and they don't get to see the video before it's uploaded. With that being said, let's get into it. Unlike most mechanical keyboards, the 60HE uses Hall effect to register key actuations, hence the HE Hall effect. And what this allows for is much better customizability with the 60HE. You can choose the actuation point of every single key on this keyboard, and it allows for better features such as rapid trigger. And all of these combined make for an absolutely wildly responsive gaming experience, and it's almost as if the 60HE is like an extension of your being. That's how good this keyboard is in gaming. But for other features, it's a 60% mechanical gaming keyboard, and it is technically hot swappable, but only with Hall effect keys. You won't be able to put any 3 or 5-pin regular binary mechanical switches in here. Hall effect only. You might have noticed that I've used the terms 60HE and 60HE Plus interchangeably in today's video. That is because the only difference with the Plus model is it has screw-in stabilizers. Every other feature which I mentioned today is interchangeable across both keyboards. And if you are in the market to upgrade your 60HE to the Plus, I wouldn't really do that unless if you really need screw-in stabilizers. There's no doubt about it, you're going to be buying this keyboard for primarily competitive gaming. And let me tell you now, this is the best gaming keyboard I have ever used. As I said at the start of the video, it's like an extension of your being. It's so responsive in games thanks to the rapid trigger and the customizable actuation distances, which make this keyboard truly remarkable, particularly in competitive shooters. I mainly play Battlefield and Fortnite, which Battlefield isn't really that competitive, but even there I have noticed a massive difference compared to regular keyboards with the 60HE. The rapid trigger and the customizable actuation distances are a massive improvement over something like a regular mechanical keyboard, and there's a big feature in this which I'll go over in a bit. Going back to the customization, you don't even need to install software. Yes, you can fully customize this keyboard all through your web browser with the Wootility web software, I guess the proper term is for it. But here, you can do any sorts of customizations like RGB, which is every gamer's favorite feature. But not only that, you can control the actuation distances per key. So with WASD, I've got it on 0.7 millimeters, but the keys around it, which I don't want to fat finger, like Q, E, and F, I've got those on 1.5 millimeters, which just helps out with reducing mistakes, I suppose. And you can even go as far to rebind keys themselves. So with the right shift, control, and FN, I don't use these at all. So I've rebound these to the arrow keys, as I do actually use them, particularly in YouTube, going through like scrubbing through like a YouTube video or something like that. So that's what I've rebound these to. And if you had a similar function you needed from this keyboard, that's always a possibility as well. And a very neat feature of this software is you get to share your settings. I'll have my code linked in the description for my settings, but other YouTubers like Optimum Tech or maybe even your favorite streamer who has a 60HE can share their code where you can copy their settings, which is a very cool feature in my opinion. Rapid trigger is the biggest selling point of the 60HE keyboard, and it's becoming quite common on a lot of other brands like Razer and even SteelSeries now. But the reason why it's so important is because it makes this keyboard so responsive. Like what I was saying at the start of the video, as it's like an extension of your being, rapid trigger is the biggest reason as to why. And how it does this is it allows for a key to instantly reset when you go up on the keystroke. And more importantly, this is adjustable per key in the Wootility software, which is, it's just so good that you can customize it per key. I've set rapid trigger to activate at 0.1 millimeters to keep the keyboard as responsive as possible, and I recommend you to do the same, because going back to a regular keyboard after using rapid trigger it's a pretty big wake-up call to just show how good this keyboard is for gaming. And if you don't want rapid trigger on some keys, that is totally fine because you can enable it on a per key basis. I don't have it enabled on shift because sometimes I slightly go up when I'm trying to sprint in games and this just stops me from sprinting, so I've turned rapid trigger off altogether on shift, and I'm pretty sure alt and control, I don't really need it on those keys, but you can turn it off on keys that you don't want it on as well, which is a big W. The secret feature which I was alluding to earlier is kind of the cheatiest one, and that is SOCD. What this allows you to do is basically near perfect counter strafing every single time. This used to be a script and it got banned from a lot of tournaments, but now that it's in hardware with keyboards like the Wooting HE series, and even Razer have worked on it recently, this kind of means that you're cheating on this keyboard but not cheating at the same time. It's kind of a grey area as of now. But to enable it, unfortunately, you do need beta firmware, which I've installed and I've had no issues for the past sort of week and a bit. So I'd probably recommend installing the beta firmware, but to enable SOCD, you need to head to Performance and then enable it and bind to the A and D keys. Yes, you can bind it to something else, but you want to counter strafe with this feature, so A and D is the most likely option here. And to do it in game, say if you're right peeking a corner, all you need to do is hold A and then just tap D, and there you go. That's how you use this feature. And the reason why it's so controversial and it's labelled as cheating is because pros will take thousands of hours to learn this in a game like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or Counter-Strike 2 as it is now, but you can do it right out the gate with this feature, and this is why it's so controversial. And if you're worried about getting banned, I don't think you need to, because it's in hardware and it's kind of not cheating. You're not running any scripts or anything like that. You're not running an aimbot or any third-party software, so to speak. So I don't think you're really going to have that much of a problem in terms of getting banned. But the funniest story with this feature is Razer announced it, and then within 24 hours, Wooting dropped it in a beta update. And not only did they drop it for the 60HE Plus, they dropped it for every single Hall Effect mechanical keyboard they make within the past 7 years, which is an absolute W from Wooting. I like to see that sort of customer support from them, because it goes to show that they're really sticking by their hardware, which is a big W. So there's no doubt about it, the 60HE Plus from Wooting is an absolutely astonishing gaming keyboard, and in fact it's the best I've ever used. But where it does fall short is productivity. Out of the box, it's not the best sounding keyboard in the world. Yeah, it doesn't particularly sound the best, but in all fairness, it can be modded to make it sound much better. I know quite a few other creators have got a sort of a magnesium alloy case or an aluminium case, and they've customised the keycaps and such. And these keyboards look very good, and I might follow them with that. Another thing working against it is its 60% layout. You don't get features like the F row or even arrow keys, even though I've rebound them, which may be a big downside for some. But Wooting also, them not making it as of yet, but they will be making it soon, is the 80HE. This is an 80% keyboard, and it has the F row and your arrow keys and like page up and page down and those sort of keys. And they also make the Wooting 2, which is a full-size keyboard with every single feature you would ever need, with the numpad as well. So I won't be using my 60HE Plus that much for productivity or for games where I need the F row like Age of Empires, but where I need a competitive, responsive keyboard in games like Battlefield and Fortnite, you know damn well I'm going to be using this keyboard for it, because it's the best in class in my opinion, from at least what I've used. Therefore, this is the keyboard to have if you want to play competitive games. From its sheer abundance of features like SOCD and rapid trigger, to its customization with RGB, as every gamer loves that, and customizable actuation distances, the Wooting 60HE Plus is the best gaming keyboard I have ever used, and I'm going to be using it for years to come. But if you want to see a graphics card to drive a competitive gaming experience, there's a GPU up there for you. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day.